Welcome back to episode 158 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. We are down to the last three episodes of 2025. How about it? And we actually have a ton of signings to talk about today. The stove is hot. It is sizzling right now, man. We've got all kinds of signings. And of course, we came in here last week. We talked about a couple signings, nothing major.
hmm
And then I was like, you know what? Watch, all these guys are now going to start signing during the winter meetings and after. And sure enough, that's what happened, including Edwin Diaz, one of the biggest free agents on the market this off season, signed with my team. We'll get into that momentarily because I know what I said a couple weeks ago about how I don't want Edwin Diaz. Not gonna lie, when I saw all the videos and him at Dodger Stadium and he put on that jersey, I'm like, damn, I'm sold now. Damn it, I'm sold. So Um, I'll give my full thoughts on it in a little bit here, but before we get into everything, Kyle, how are you doing today? Are you done with your Christmas shopping? As we, of course, the big day is next Thursday.
Yes, I am done with my Christmas shopping. I'm doing pretty good, man. We winter meetings really disappointed me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
I was not happy with the way winter meetings went, and we were very vocal about that last week. And I know we still had 2 more days at the time of that recording, but um, we left winter meetings without any big signings. And that was it's not what you want as a baseball fan because like that's one of the dates that we circle on the calendar and really look forward to all these signings. Luckily, though, after we finish that episode, this entire week has been filled with nothing but signings, man, and we're gonna get into it. We have a bunch to go over. Um, I'm
Bunch of
super
rumors
excited
going
for it.
around too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So it's finally starting to heat up, and we're starting to get back into the swings of baseball off season. So I'm very happy about that. Other than that, man, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I mentioned to you a second ago, Edwin Diaz. So now I would have been up probably quickly. I don't have my phone on. My phone's on, but it's on silent. I don't
Mhm.
have it on do not disturb. Part of because I don't know how to do that, so I don't. But I just put the ringer off and just so I woke up Tuesday morning, and thankfully I set my alarm for like 8:30 in the morning to get up because I actually had stuff to do like with school and other things around my house. But if I didn't set that alarm for 8:30, I would have been the last person on the universe to discover that Edwin Diaz signed with my team and Kyle Schwarber went back to the Phillies. I would have been the last human being on earth to find that out. And when my alarm went off, obviously I turned it off, and then I checked my phone, and I immediately saw your text first. And the first thing I saw was coming to Dodger Stadium next year. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, who? Which one is it? Which one is it? And I was like, okay, it's Edwin Diaz. And then I posted on my story. Freaking everybody and their mother notifications going off, Twitter, MLB, Bleacher Report, everything that these two major signings happened. And I have to say, and the thing I have to say about that, I won't apologize. I have to be better. I need to be the first to see all this stuff. That's my fault. I will be better. Now, 8:30, you would think, Jesus, you think Melo will be up by then? I'm not. I'm not. But I'm getting better. I'm starting to get up a little earlier now. I will be better next time. I don't like to be the last person on earth to discover a major signing or something, especially when it has to do with my team. So I will be better next time, I promise. So I might not sleep this whole week just to make sure I don't miss anything. You know. So when the Mets and the Padres pull off this big ass proposed trade going around here, I will be the first one to post about it when it drops at freaking 2 in the morning because these GMs and other people are doing these business deals from out of the country. So um, I apologize. I will be better. But to answer your question, doing well. Um, let's get into all the signings here because we have a bunch, and that's where we're going to start. We also, or actually, no, let's not start with the signings. We are gonna start with the team that is has a lot of holes to fill, and these free agents are starting to quickly go. So we'll see what happens. But how about the New York Mets? They had a rough week, a rough 24 hours. They had lost um, Edwin Diaz Tuesday morning, obviously to my team, and then they lose Pete Alonso to the Baltimore Orioles. Not even 24 hours later, back to back, and now you have every Met fan calling for David Stearns' head. Now, they didn't want to see him anywhere near the podium. They didn't want to see him on their Instagram, anything. And now this Mets team is kind of going to be a little bit different. Now, they did sign Jorge Polanco. He left Seattle free agency, but I don't get what the Mets are doing here. I really don't. This is, we have winners and losers that we do every year during the off season, and I got to be honest with you. I think the biggest loser so far of the off season is the Mets. They lost two guys that were, well, really three, because they lost Brandon Nimmo too. They traded him within the Marcus Semien trade earlier this offseason. But they lost three guys that were fan favorites, and the fan base really got behind, especially Pete Alonso.
Mhm.
There's this thing of, forever Mets. The Mets really don't have any of those players that, start and end their career as a Met. I'm not talking David Wright, because his career ended due to injury. I'm talking like, you know, guys who came up through the system, got drafted, played their whole careers. The Mets don't have a lot of guys like that. And it felt
Mhm.
like Pete Alonso was going to be maybe the first one to kind of break that barrier and be the forever Met, and he's gone. And from what it seemed like, and the thing that has to bother you if you're a Met fan with Diaz, it wasn't because of money. I think the Mets, it was not because of money. The Dodgers, he just basically wanted to go to LA because he wanted a chance to win. That's basically what he said. And with Pete Alonso, I understand not wanting to give him 5 years, $150 million, because he's not a great first baseman. Yes, he hits for power, but he's in his 30s, and David Stern didn't even want him last year. But because he had the great postseason, and the Met fans were killing Uncle Stevie at their little fan fest, he had to resign him. He's like, fine, I'll do it. Didn't work, and now David Stearns is clearly doing it his way. And run prevention, that's the vocabulary term we've heard all season with David Stearns. Um, just kind of the Mets are back in the headlines again for the wrong reasons, and they better figure this out fast, man, because their fans are not happy, and rightfully so. I wouldn't be happy either, especially after getting Juan Soto just a year ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I don't like what the Mets are doing. It doesn't make sense to me, right? Because you lock down this guy for damn near $800 million, right? And now your goal is to win a championship within those next 14 years. Now, I'm not saying like it's only been a year. I totally get that, and we have plenty of time before this guy's contract runs out. But this is what I don't understand, right? So we're all about run prevention. We're all about defense, athleticism, things like that. Okay. You have Juan Soto playing right field. It's no secret that Juan Soto is one of the worst one of the worst outfielders defensively when it comes to defense. I saw it with the Yankees. We saw it with the Nationals. We saw it with the Padres. You don't care about that though, in my opinion. When you have a generational talent like Juan Soto, you just deal with it. That's just it comes with the territory, right? Not everybody can be Aaron Judge. But anyway,
Oh man.
listen, I had to sneak it in
Yep,
there.
I get it.
I had to.
I get it.
But so for the Mets, though, I do want to try to find a silver lining in this because I've been trying to talk myself into what David Stearns is doing. Right, it hasn't worked that well, but I'm trying my best to talk myself into it and try to give Mets fans some kind of like belief system and try to agree with what Stearns is saying that the Mets fans are going to be happy once opening day comes and the team that they're going to field. Right, the way I look at this, Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz are both on the wrong side of 32. These guys are older. I get that. And if you're trying to get more athletic, more defense, run prevention, things like that, Pete Alonso's not your guy at first base. I'm sorry. He's just not. Everybody knows the defense that Pete Alonso has. On the flip side, though, this is a homegrown player. You try your best to keep him, and it really seems like the Mets were cool with letting him go. There wasn't a single contract offer to Pete Alonso. So clearly they have some sort of plan in place of what they're going to do from here on out. Now, it is still early in the offseason, so I don't want to jump the gun too quick. I need to see what the Mets do. Obviously, you touched on earlier, there's rumblings with the Padres. There's a big trade coming. Now, I don't think it's any big names like I've heard Lindor. Okay, give me a break. Lindor's not going anywhere. He is a Met. Um, but it seems like it's going to be like a pitcher, right? Mason Miller, Nick Pivetta. Those are the two names that I'm really hearing going back to Queens. I don't know though. You don't have a lot of offense anymore. You really don't. Brandon Nimmo. I mean, yeah, he was what he was, but he's a decent bat in that lineup. He was a guy who homegrown, same as Pete Alonso. Switching on over to Alonso now, I mean, I believe he batted 270, had 38 homers. That's a guy that you can pencil in for at least 30 homers a year, at least. And that's health wise and everything included. I don't understand what you're going to do offensively, right? You've gotten a lot worse offensively when you're trying to get better defensively. Marcus Simeon, I still think is a productive bat, even though he's also on the wrong age of 30. But other than, I mean, you have Polanco now. I do like that signing, but you got Soto, Lindor, and then you got what Polanco's probably the third best hitter, maybe. And then you got the guys who we already mentioned. You have McNeil in that lineup still. Alvarez. You have I don't know what's going on at third. You have a mix of Beatty and
Beatty,
Vientos. Yeah,
but Vientos might be in that trade too.
that's true. Yeah,
There's a lot of rumors that Vientos might go back in that San Diego trade.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've been a firm believer of Mark Vientos since he's come up. I like what the kid has and what he brings. Um, I thought for sure maybe he'd slide over to first base, but with the Polanco signing now, Vientos is expendable. He's a good value piece that you can bring into to this Mets club because I'm telling you, man, I don't understand what they're doing. Like I'm trying to find the silver lining, like I said, and that's the only one I could find. Right? These guys are aging, but you can't tell me that you're okay with losing Edwin Diaz, replacing him with Devin Williams for a 3-year contract of $69 million. There's no way. That's pocket change for a guy like Edwin Diaz. I love that contract that the Dodgers gave him. It's a low years, high AAV, which is exactly what the Dodgers are going to be all about, with all this money spending. But there's no world where Steve Cohen couldn't have matched that or given him more, honestly. Because now your bullpen is worse than what it was last year. I just all aspects of this team has gotten worse. Their offense has gotten worse, and their bullpen and their pitching was already a problem last year, in my opinion. And yeah, you're trying to get better defensively, and maybe you did. But what was the cost to get better defensively? Because now you're going to have close to no run support for your pitchers. You're no wonder they're on the trade market because you don't have an offense to back them up. Like now, Juan Soto is going to walk 400 times in a season. That's going to be a problem because now you're paying what $800 million for 400 walks a season. And yes, it's dramatic, but you get my point. You know, you, there's not much fear to this lineup, man. There's really not, and that's what concerns me for the Mets. At least Pete Alonso, like, yeah, I understand defense it was what it was, but you're losing a big bat in that lineup. And I've been very clear that I did not want Pete Alonso on the Yankees, but he's good for other teams, and he would have been great going back to the Mets. He's I don't know many teams that would pass up 30 homers when you don't have a guy like that in the lineup. No other guy in that lineup can give you 30 homers except for Soto. But the problem is Soto's going to be walked every two at bats. It's just it's a very weird thing that David Stearns is doing, and I'm very interested to see how the rest of this offseason plays out. But I don't like what the Mets are doing, man. I really don't. I don't understand the vision. It's been very clear that Steve Cohen's willing to spend all the money to make sure there's a winning product on the Mets field come 2026 and his entire tenure of ownership. But this year's just different, man. It doesn't feel right. It feels weird, and I don't understand what the Mets are doing. But there's plenty of time. We'll see what happens. There's the trade market. Kyle Tucker's still available. I'll be honest with you. I think Cody Bellinger needs to be a New York Met.
Yeah, that's the
By
growing senses now.
Yeah, he Cody Bellinger needs to be in a Mets uniform by the start of 2026. He needs to. I don't see a world where he can't. I mean, that's at the very least. If you want to go out and get Kyle Tucker, more power to you. But Cody Bellinger needs to be a Met, man. It's a match made in heaven for both of these sides. And as much as I would hate losing Cody Bellinger, he makes perfect sense for the Mets. And you swing a trade with the Padres, you sign Cody Bellinger, maybe do a few little, smaller trades involved in there. Hey, maybe this Mets team will be a little bit better, but we'll see. But I digress, and that's kind of my thoughts on the Mets, man. I don't like what they're doing. I need to see more of a vision for me to get behind this Mets team.
Sign Paul Goldschmidt.
I guess, right?
I saw that floating around over the weekend too. Um, yeah, and the other problem going into, you know, the other problem with the Mets getting worse over this short period of time, and like you mentioned, we're still early in the off season. There's still time to make trades and make moves, but the teams in your division, specifically the Phillies and the Braves, are getting better. The Phillies re-sign um, Kyle Schwarber. They're bringing in Adolis Garcia. The Braves have brought in Robert Suarez. And I really think that um, the Braves just had a kind of an unlucky year last year. They had guys hurt, and then they just didn't play well. I think the
Yeah.
Braves are going to be really good again next year. So,
Mhm.
and right now, I think I would put them both over the Mets right now in that
Yeah,
division. So
me
you're
too.
looking at a third place finish for the Mets here, and let's not forget that the Marlins actually finished the season pretty well
Hmm.
um, in the second half of the season. So maybe they have something going on over there too. But um, something has to be done, and something has to change fast because you have a Met fan base that is rightfully so. Like they're disappointed and upset that their homegrown guys are no longer there anymore.
Hmm.
Because baseball is a long season. You get used to seeing these guys every day, and when they're not there, it takes a while, and it's you want somebody to come in and make new memories and pick up the pieces and continue to play well. But um, we'll see what the New York Mets do,
There
and
is.
go for it.
Oh, sorry. There
No,
is
I'm done.
also Okay. There is one more thing that I want to touch base on too. Um, Regarding the Mets, I hope Steve Cohen and David Stearns realize that this Met fan base means a lot. Listen, I shit on the Mets fan base all the time.
I
I'm
never noticed.
listen, that's just I do a lot. And I do feel for the Mets fans here because not only are they used to losing in dramatic fashion, they're also there's ongoing jokes about the Mets. The Mets are going to Met this, that, and the other. They always fall apart.
LOL.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's just so much shit regarding the Mets fan base, and there has been multiple reports. I forget, obviously, forgive me for this. I forgot the reporter's name. I believe it was Steve Gelbs. Um, he went on a podcast or on a show or something stating the fact that like Mets fans have never showed this much, dissatisfaction for their team. And the Mets have been through a lot, man. You know, ever since they won their last World Series, which I believe it was back in '86, um, this fan base has been through hell. They have seen shit left and right. And like I said, man, I do feel for them. And I do want this team to get better for the sake of the fan base because if you lose a fan base in a big market like New York City, that's not good. That's not good at all. I mean, trust me, I see how Yankee fans react to things, and I know how it is. I don't even think Mets fans were this pissed off during the Wilpon era, from what this guy was talking about. Steve Gelbs, but it's
I
not
heard
good, man.
I heard Met fans say over the weekend on Twitter that the Whoopons would have never allowed it to get this bad.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Listen, the Wilpons were like, I mean, I remember going on Twitter and saying the terrorists are gone, America killed Bin Laden, things like
Hitler's
that.
dead.
Yeah, like that's where we were with the Wilpons. And now Stevie Cohen comes in with a endless amount of money. He's got a vault set up there at Citi Field. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, and he chooses to do it on the outside of Citi Field and building his nice big casino and his nice little, get together things for Mets fans when they come to the stadium. Well, guess what, man? You got to put a winning product on the field to get those seats filled, to get those um, casino machines to have people in front of them. Those are the type of things. Like it all circles back to the team that you're putting together. So, like I said, man, if you're losing the fan base as much as the reports say, that's a big problem. Big, big problem. And you cannot have that, especially in a city like New York. Los Angeles is the same way. Those real big cities, you cannot lose your fan base, man. You just can't.
Yeah, and I think the other big problem too is, I mean, I've heard a lot of people make fun. I've heard a lot of Met fans kind of make fun of David Stearns. Boy, genius. Guy's a
Yep.
nerd. You know, he can't handle New York. Go back to your small market team in Milwaukee. That's how he's gonna build this thing. It looks like you
Hmm.
saw it in 2025. Um, Steve Cohen put a bunch of money into the team, re-signed Pete Alonso, um, brought in Juan Soto, brought in these other pieces, and it didn't work. 83 wins, and they fell apart in the last month of the season and missed the playoffs. Now you're seeing, okay, you did it your way. Now I'm going to do it my way with David Stearns. And we saw it in Milwaukee. David Stearns' way is, you know, building from the ground up, not spending the big money, developing guys, bringing in prospects. Now I know that's not what Met fans want to hear because again, you're New York. You're supposed to be one of the big spenders. You're supposed to be in on every free agent, but I think that's what's going to happen here. I think that's what's happening already, and you saw that in the last, um, in the last week with losing Alonso, losing Diaz, trading away Nimmo, and like I said, there's this big rumor going around that the Padres and the Mets may have some kind of a trade going around, and that's kind of the Mets' way right now. You
Yeah.
know, David
And
Stearns
also,
is gonna, you know, doesn't want to go big game fishing.
mhm. and and the fact that Edwin Diaz basically in his own way said that he wanted to go to Los Angeles for a chance to win a championship. That's a problem. It's a big problem, especially for a team like
Not
the
for me.
Mets. That's we're talking about the Mets right now, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But the way that I view this is if that's kind of Edwin Diaz's way of getting out of New York to go chase a championship and more power to him. That's totally fine. But he didn't have faith in the Mets winning a championship. That's not good, man. That's not good. He saw what this is going to unravel to be. And that's exactly, and you, like I said, you mentioned it regarding David Stearns and the way that he ran Milwaukee. That's the way he likes to go, man. And if your star closer, who's been with the team for the last 7 years, is saying things like that, that's a problem, man. That's a problem, and especially because he went to Los Angeles for not that much more money. We said at the very beginning, the the Mets losing Edwin Diaz had nothing to do with money, right? And that's what I'm talking about. That's the problem. So it'll be very interesting to see where the rest of this offseason goes for the New York Mets.
Speaking of Edwin Diaz, let's do my Dodgers real quick, and then we'll
Let's do it.
jump into these other signings here. Um, I just said it to you a moment ago. I did not want Edwin Diaz on this team, but when I found out what the number was, I'm fine with it. I
Mm-hmm.
was not comfortable giving Edwin Diaz a 5-year, like it was reported. Like some
Mm.
were reporting that hey, Edwin Diaz is gonna demand or ask for like a 4 or 5 year deal. I wasn't big on that, especially you know it did not work with Tanner Scott in year one, and the Dodgers gave him a 4 year contract. But after seeing the number and seeing him put on that Dodger uniform and seeing all the hype videos, I'm sold. I'm in. Come on, Edwin Diaz, man. Come on, man. I cannot wait to see Edwin Diaz out there at Dodger Stadium, Timmy trumpet in the background when the gates open up um, in left field. We've had some pretty famous um, closers, in Dodger franchise history. I think Edwin Diaz has a shot to be the next great one. And you know, we have the Dodgers have not they just solved their ninth inning problem, by the way. The Dodgers for the last really this whole decade, since Kenley Jansen, have not had a set closer. Kind of this philosophy with Dave Roberts, and I think this goes up to Brandon Gomes and Andrew Friedman. Oh, anybody can close. Closer by committee. Whatever the matchups are in the ninth inning, that's who we're going to throw out there. And you had seen in a couple seasons and in a couple games, some big playoff games, you still need a closer. You still need a guy to go out there um, in the ninth inning to take the ball to get the last 3 outs. And, I heard Bob Nightingale, and, again, Bob Nightingale, take it for what it's worth. But, he came out and said that I think Dave Roberts is getting tired of not having a set guy to go in the ninth inning. Dodgers just solved that issue last week. So, there's going to be no more of this playing the matchups. If the Dodgers are winning in the ninth inning in a close game, Edwin Diaz is going to go out there and get the last 3 outs. No question about it. And I just mentioned a second ago, the Dodgers have had some pretty famous closers with some pretty famous walk up songs. You had Eric Gagne come out to Welcome to the Jungle. Um, you had Kenley Jansen come out to California Love, by Tupac and God, I can't think of his name right now. But now you're gonna have Edwin Diaz at Timmy Trumpet now. So I'm in. I'm in on Edwin Diaz, especially with that number. And he said this quote the other day, and it put a big smile on my face because it really has shown how much the Dodgers have evolved in the 2020s. Somebody asked him, "Why did you choose the Dodgers?" I chose the Dodgers because they are a winning organization. I'm here to win, and I believe they have everything it takes to do that. That put a big smile on my face, man. That's what I want my Dodger team to be. That's what I want my favorite baseball team to be, a winning organization, a winning tradition. And of course, winning back to back world championships and winning 3 out of 6, it helps a lot. But you got all these baseball fans, especially Met fans, like, oh, I'll never have respect for Edwin Diaz again. Why would he go join? This is like KD to the Warriors. Shut up. Seriously. Like, I thought the whole point, other than money, of course, and for some people, and I really don't, it's all about the check. But um, I thought that it was all, or I thought it was about winning. I thought that's why we played the game, for to win. And I'm sorry, but Edwin Diaz liked the Dodgers situation more than the Mets. Simple as that. And the contract reflected that. You know, the Mets easily could have topped that offer. They could have gave him an extra year or something, but he chose to be a Dodger. And for that, I say, welcome aboard, my friend. Can't wait to see you close out games at Dodger Stadium. I know Dodger fans are gonna go crazy already. They already are. And I saw all the edits of the trumpets and everything. I think a lot of Dodger fans are sold on Edwin Diaz. So and also this allows um, Tanner Scott doesn't have to be the closer. And I did say I think he's gonna have a bounce back year next year. That is now your setup guy, your seventh, eighth inning guy, and I think that's going to do wonders, and it's going to lead to a bounce back season for Edwin Diaz. So this bullpen is starting to take shape. You still have all your guys in there. You got Edwin Diaz, Blake Trinan, Brewstar Gratterall expected to come back, and then you got your young kids: Will Klein, Eduardo Henriquez, Ben Kasparius, Kyle Hurd. And then you got your lefties: Alex Vesia, Tanner Scott, Justin Robleski, Anthony Bonda, Jack Dreyer. I know a lot of those guys weren't good in 2025, but I do think they will bounce back in 2026. And very quickly, this bullpen is back to where it needs to be. And if you can get good starting pitching again, along with a good bullpen again for the postseason, oh baby, look out! It might get ugly very quickly. But um, I'm all in with the signing. Now all I ask for the Dodgers to do to address their bullpen, bring back Evan Phillips, and let's go, and let's roam from there, baby. So welcome Edwin Diaz. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'll say this too about Edwin Diaz. This contract's really good, right? I mean, I love this
Deferrals,
contract
baby, love it.
absolutely. This opens the door because the Dodgers did not have to go on the trade market to get some relievers, things like that. I hope people realize that this could get worse in the outside of Dodger world, right? Because now you can use those prospects that you didn't have to use to trade for a reliever. I don't know. Do you go revisit a Stephen Kwan trade with Cleveland? That would be disgusting, in my opinion, but I'm sure Dodger fans would love it. Um,
You
it
want to
gives
know?
them
You want to know a
more.
player? You want to know what else is disgusting and possibly worse? Since you mentioned those trades, those prospects.
Yeah, I mean,
Come
there was
on,
a, real
come on,
quick,
let's go for it. Come on, let's really go for it here. You
real
want to
quick.
see something disgusting? Do that.
I'll tell you what's disgusting. That one dude on Twitter who has been saying that a Tarek Skubal to Los Angeles deal has been done
Yeah.
for
So
quite
I
some time. What's going on there, man?
so he's the local like sports anchor for one of the local LA TV stations here, news stations, KTLA 5. Don't listen to him. Don't
I was
listen to
gonna
him.
say, man, what's going on?
Don't listen to him. You want to know why I won't listen to him? Number one, he's like a Clipper homer, so that pisses me off already. Number two, 2 years ago, when the NBA got to their trade deadline, he came out and tweeted, "Oh yeah, the Lakers are shopping LeBron James, and he could possibly be on the move here." That don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
I figured, but I'm just saying that was something that I was like, "What the fuck, man?" I've been hearing that's like the biggest thing that came out of the winter meetings. I'm telling you, was this one dude on Twitter who's like nonstop saying there's a done deal, Terry Skubal is going to Los Angeles, things like that. But
They're
anyway,
just trying to work on an extension for it or something like that.
yeah, the
And
way
this
that
and this guy. Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but this
I
guy freaking went on a tour after he was like on every freaking talk radio show here in LA. Like, oh, what could you tell us more about this possible trade coming down? It's like, guy's full of shit, to be honest with you. So
that's what I thought. But no, so the Dodgers also too. This game, I mean, we've been hearing reports about this too, but the Dodgers are cool with deferrals. They're cool with the short term deals that are high AAV. Kyle Tucker,
yep.
Kyle Tucker. I'm telling you, I don't want to see it personally, but there's a world where I could see that happening. Um, so you
And
know,
the more this drags out with Tucker,
that's
I
yeah.
think it keeps the Dodgers more in play, to be honest with you.
And
Now,
here's
I,
another
I
thing:
want to be I want to put this out there. I don't want Kyle Tucker. I don't. I really
you
don't.
didn't want Edwin Diaz.
I didn't want Edwin Diaz. Yeah, so it's like, hey, you're full of shit again. I didn't want Edwin Diaz, but I don't want Kyle Tucker for the sanity of the other 29 fan bases. I actually hope Kyle Tucker goes somewhere else.
Hey, I see that trumpet back there on your shelf. I see it already.
Oh, we're
You bought.
working on that. We're working on that. I'm gonna get a trumpet. I'm gonna learn how to play actually during the off season.
I don't blame you. I would too. But no, so pretty much just to keep this moving along. I want to talk about Pete Alonso next. That was the next big one, right? So Pete Alonso, he goes to the Orioles for 5 years, 155 million, I believe it was. Um, Yeah, this is a good deal for Baltimore. They needed a big bopper in that lineup, and if the Mets weren't going to pay him, or if anybody else, it makes sense for a team like Baltimore to sign Pete Alonso, right? He gives it. They are able to give him the deal that he wants, and he's automatically, like I said, that's a 30 homer bat that you're penciling into that lineup. And for a team that's young and kind of had a a shitty year last year, I see them trying to bounce back, man. Michael King's involved in some free agent talk right now. They're obviously in on pitchers, and they're buyers at this free agency. I like this move a lot for Baltimore. I do. And Pete Alonso's already expressed how much he loves being in Baltimore. This was the place he wanted to go. This is the place where he sees himself potentially for the rest of his career, depending on how that, it's a little bit of a shorter deal. It puts him to the end of like a weird age, kind of like a Paul Goldschmidt situation where he's running around. But I like this deal, man. I really do. And if Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, if those guys play to their strengths, Baltimore is going to be right back up into the East, and it's going to be a 3-4 team race, depending on how. And you can't count out Tampa Bay either. That's what I'm saying. And Tampa Bay signed Cedric Mullins, who we couldn't express how much we love that. So this is good for the AL East. There's no bad team in the AL East in my opinion. I think they're all either solid or really good. Hell, the American League champions came out of that division. Um, and then three teams was in the postseason from the AL East. So I like to see Baltimore back into it. They have a new ownership group that was willing to spend money, and this is kind of their. It took them a little bit, but this is kind of their first big signing. It's the second largest contract in Orioles history. I like this move a lot. I didn't want, like I said earlier, I didn't want Pete Alonso on the Yankees because I didn't think it fit, but this fits. Baltimore and Pete Alonso, it fits, man. And I can't say it enough. I love seeing big name players and big name free agents go to smaller markets. I love it because that's been the big issue of these owners not spending money. Well, hey, let's hope and pray that we can check Baltimore off that list, man. Let's see them get more free agents in. Let's see them spend big money because I want these small markets paying big bucks for these players. And the fact that Pete Alonso went to a smaller market, I like that. I really do. Um, yeah, I can't say enough about this move. I think it's a really good fit. I'm not high on Pete Alonso as a player. I never really was, but I can't disregard the fact that he's very talented. He's a really good baseball player. I just don't put him in that superstar category. That's just not me. But that doesn't mean that he's not a really good baseball player, and he is for Baltimore. This fits, and I love this move. It's a perfect fit in my opinion. Yeah, good for Baltimore.
Absolutely good for Baltimore. If they can just get some pitching, they might be a sneaky play postseason team for me next year when we're making
Absolutely.
our predictions in a couple months. Let's see what else they do. Still got plenty of time in the off season. Um, Another one I want to touch upon here too. Kyle Schwarber going back to the Phillies. Um, the Phillies. The big thing the when the Phillies got knocked out by my Dodgers in the division series, the big thing was you heard from a lot of Philly fans and a lot of Philadelphia media. Why are we gonna run this back?
Hmm.
Like let's kind of reshuffle the deck here a little bit. Now, I do think if they were gonna bring back anybody, it should have been Kyle Schwarber. That should have been priority one, and they did that. So good for them. But are the Phillies just gonna run it back again next year with the same thing? I know they signed Adolis Garcia today. That was one of the last ones before we came on here. So I know they're moving on from um, Castellanos. Bohm and Stott have been in trade talks for the last 3 seasons. Are the Phillies just gonna run it back again? And if you're a Phillies fan, do you want that again? Because yeah, sure. Like this Philly team has won the AL East the NL East the last 2 years, but they've also been bounced early in round one. So I like the contract for the Phillies. Um, you had to get it done, and you saw it. Like that set the market for guys like Pete Alonso. That
Hmm.
5 year, $150 million range, and I believe that Schwarber is going to be one of these players that ages beautifully. You're already starting to see it now. He just came off a season where he almost had 60 home runs,
Yeah.
and he's perfect in that DH spot. Obviously, you're not going to put him out on the field unless you really have to once in a while, but he's your everyday DH, and I like it for the Phillies. But I need to see what else they're going to do because yeah, you can essentially bring back the same team, and I think they'll still be pretty good.
Hmm.
This is also the same group that has gotten knocked out pretty early the last couple postseasons. So again, still early. Good job on the Phillies not letting Schwarber walk. Um, but I need to see what else they're gonna do because you can't. To me, you can't run it back with the same group. You just can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say this about Schwarber. I I feel like it was a deal that the Phillies almost felt like they had to make, right?
Yeah,
You'd be losing a lot of production. And this guy, again, not taking away from talent. This guy, if it wasn't for Shohei Ohtani, he'd be MVP right now. He had a phenomenal 2025 season. He's had a phenomenal Phillies career as a whole. He bought into Philly, and he's just, I mean, he just performs all the time. He's a perfect match for Philly. However, like you said, they are kind of running it back, and this is what doesn't make sense to me, right? So he signed a 5 year, $150 million contract. He's getting paid 18 million in 2026. Okay, from then on out, for the next 4 seasons, he's being paid $33 million a year. So it's backloaded a little bit. It's kind of a funky contract, but he's next year it's 18 million, and then the rest of the contract's 33 million a year. I don't know. Does that twist the Phillies? Does that hinder them from spending? Because another thing too that I don't want the Yankees to make the same mistake is paying a DH long term. That can only be a DH, right? Shohei Otani's a different situation. But when it comes to
one of one, baby.
as yes, he is. But that hinders a team a lot of times, and it's hindered the Yankees over the years. The Yankees have to have that DH spot open for Giancarlo Stanton, or else he loses bat entirely. But we've seen it before. We cannot. We don't have enough flexibility with the lineup with Stanton constantly taking up that DH spot, and we've seen how that played out for the Yankees. Now I don't know. Did that stop them from signing Bryce Harper back in 19? Did that stop them from getting Corey Seager or Carlos Correa when he was on the market? I don't know. I really don't. And for the Yankees, luckily, this contract's going to come off the books, and then Aaron Judge is likely going to take the DH spot in the towards the end of his career. But it's kind of the same thing with the Phillies, right? We see Bryce Harper; he's getting older. I mean, yeah, they moved into first base, but I can guarantee you, I don't know how. Like it is Bryce Harper; it's a different situation. I feel like he'll be okay at first base, but you know, it might hinder the Phillies from making other signings and moving that lineup around differently. So if I'm going to be honest with you, yeah, it seems like they're going to run this thing back and hope for the best. But I don't know. It seems like Dave Dombrowski doesn't want to spend big. He's made that known in the last couple of years. I don't know. Does that change with the signing of Schwarber? Does that change the way the trade market looks? I don't know, but we'll see. But overall, good for Kyle Schwarber. He's back where he belongs, and good for the Phillies too. I mean, it's the runner up in the NL MVP. It can't be bad, right? So and like you said, I think you kind of hit it on the head. This contract, I think Kyle Schwarber is going to age very very good. Um, so yeah, I don't see that being a problem at all. So
Um, is there another contract you want to touch upon?
um,
Anything else sticks out to you?
yeah, I mean, I'll run down the rest of the signings just so we cover them, and then if anything comes up, then that's what happens. Dustin May, he went to St. Louis. Merrill Kelly, he has a reunion back in Arizona. Adolis Garcia, he went to Philadelphia. I really like that move, by the way. Ahmed Rosario is back with the Yankees. Steven Matz, he goes to Tampa Bay. Mikey Skremsky, he went to Atlanta. Robert Suarez, Atlanta. Michael
Like
Garcia,
that one.
I do too. I think that was a good move for the back end of that bullpen. Um, Michael Garcia, he gets an extension with the Kansas City Royals. I think that's an underrated extension slash signing for free agency. Um, and yeah, and Tyler Rogers goes to Toronto. We touched on Jorge Polanco and Kenley Jansen going to Detroit. That's kind of where we're at in the last week. It's been a frenzy, man. Truly.
Yeah, as your one of
Yeah,
your
as my cats
cats
get from the
makes
podcast.
an appearance. Telling you, man, Kyle's playing with that pussy again. There we go.
Absolutely.
There we
Yes.
go. Well, you got
Yep.
plenty of time now. It's the off season, so you can do what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want.
no, for sure.
You can do
Absolutely.
what you want. So,
I mean,
um,
yeah, leave it
there
there.
you go.
But yeah, no, Robert Suarez, that one really stood out to me. I really like that move for Atlanta. I mean, it. We kind of touched on the NL East earlier, right? It's going to be a really good division, and I think Robert Suarez is going to help Atlanta get back to where they need to. So that back end of that bullpen is going to be in good hands with Robert Suarez.
I'll just touch upon him real quick because he's a former Dodger. Shout out Kenley Jansen going to Detroit. Um, he can help that Tigers team, I believe.
Hmm.
I didn't want him to go to the Mets because I didn't want him to I didn't want him to get destroyed by that Mets fan base. You know, every time he blows a game or something. Now, I'm not saying the Tiger fans won't do that either, but it's kind of weird with Jansen because it seems like he's just trying to like, I don't want to say stat pad. That's the bad term for it, but it almost seems like he's just trying to like get the resume up a little bit so he can get into Cooperstown. Which hey, I'm all nothing wrong with that, man. Like I
No.
get it. Do what you got to do, but I could never see Jansen on one of these top contending teams anymore. I
Hmm.
don't think his stuff is good as it once was, obviously with the Dodgers, and
Hmm.
but still, if you need him to go out there and get the last three outs, he can do it fine, no problem. But
Yep.
it does seem like Jansen is kind of trying to get those stats up a little bit more, just
That
enough to
is
where he can retire and then he can get into Cooperstown in a couple of years.
that is a double edged sword though, because if he plays for too long and he has some shitty years in there,
Yeah,
that could hinder his
that,
chances for sure. So we'll see.
absolutely. So yeah, there's your kind of your free agency update. Had a lot there, and I'm sure with a lot of these guys starting to come off the board, we're going to get more
Yeah.
signings.
Yeah,
So
there's still some big ones out there, and I still think there's going to be more from the trade market for a
yeah,
lot of these teams. So I mean that was a big bulk of them, but there's still going to be plenty of moves over this off season. So we'll definitely stay tuned for that.
absolutely. And we'll get into the last topic here. How about the WBC? Finally, we're starting to get some idea of what these rosters and what these teams are going to look like because we're getting to the winter meetings and it's like okay, like yeah, we got a tournament in a couple months here, which 81 days away, by the way. Um,
Mm.
where are these players going? Like we hadn't had a lot of commitments yet. I guess that's what I guess was kind of concerning me a little bit. We only had like a handful of guys with Team USA, but I gotta tell you, man, that Dominican team, that's gonna be tough to beat. You know. Now I said that 43 years ago, and then they ended up not even getting out of the group stage. But um, yeah, we got a lot of commitments, and I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna be staying up late or taking a nap and waking up in the middle of the night to watch those Japan games, man, because I need to make sure um, that these guys stay healthy and these guys stay okay. Because I'm gonna be very nervous watching Yamamoto and Otani for Japan. But we got a lot of commits, and Team USA is starting to come together a little bit. So love to see it.
Yeah, man. For sure. It's WBC. I'm very excited for it, but you touch. I can't get away from Team DR, dude. That scares the shit out of me for Team USA. So Team USA, just a really quick rundown. The outfield looks like Corbin Carroll. Pete Crow Armstrong, Captain America, Aaron Judge
Oh,
had to do it. Gunnar Henderson at third, Shorts Bobby Wood Jr., Bryce Terang at second, still to be determined at first base. We have Paul Skeens
Max
kind of leading the
Muncy.
way. Yeah, we
Come
have
on,
Paul
Muncy.
Skeens
Let's go.
leading the way. For the pitching staff, Kyle Raleigh behind the dish and Kyle Schwarber at DH. It's good, right? It's a really good team. But you know what else is a really good team? The DR.
The DR.
Um,
But hang on. You also you missed somebody there. We also
okay.
have Captain America, but
Uh
we
huh.
also have America's catcher, Will
Oh
Smith.
boy.
Damn it, multiple
That's right.
time world champion. You know,
At the
you
projected starters.
you
Yeah.
want yeah, okay, fine, yeah. Kyle Raleigh's probably gonna start, but I'm telling you right now, if Kyle Raleigh stinks it up in the first game, you got to call on America's catcher. Damn it, get Will
It's a
Smith
pretty
out
damn
there,
good
a
backup.
big game catcher, big game player. Put Will Smith in there. How about this for a prediction? I guarantee you, by the time we won't even get half through, we won't even. Here's a prediction for you, and I know this is gonna piss off a lot of Mariners fans. We won't even get halfway through group play in Houston, and Mark DeRosa is gonna flip Raleigh and Will Smith. How about that?
Damn. Okay. Yeah. I like it. I like that prediction. Now for the team that's probably going to be the biggest pain in the ass to Team USA, depending on what Team Japan looks like from the last WBC. We have Team DR with Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, and Fernando Tatis roaming the outfield. Third base, Ramirez. Damn, I can't talk today.
J Ram.
Um, yeah, J Ram. And then shortstop, we have Geraldo Perdomo from Arizona. Ketel Marte at second. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first. Backup third baseman, I guess, is Manny Machado. Yainer Diaz behind the plate. Junior Caminaro. It's DH. And as of right now, Sandy Alcantara is the best pitcher coming out of DR. It's that's tough, man. That kind of scares me for Team USA for sure.
Yeah, and the big problem, and I mean, I wouldn't say big problem because the U.S. got to the championship game anyways. But the biggest issue with Team USA's team 3 years ago, it was their starting pitching. Like like no disrespect to Adam Wainwright, Brady Singer, Lance Lynn, we can do better than that. We can do
Mm-hmm.
better than that. And so far, we have Paul Skeens. Um, I think there's also another couple too that I think have committed to already on the pitching side. I'm trying to.
Matthew Boyd was the other one, from what I remember. I don't know if there was any more, but I need some aces in there, man. I can't just have Paul Skeens. Now, don't get me wrong, Matthew Boyd, he had a nice bounce back year last year. I believe he was a sub three pitcher, but it's I mean to beat a lineup like that, and obviously what Team Japan's going to throw out there and the rest of the group play, we need some aces in there. There, it can't just be Paul Skeens. So it's going to be
Here's
interesting.
here's the pitchers they have already set in stone: Matthew Boyd, Garrett Clevenger, Griffin Jacks, Paul Skeens, and Garrett Whitlock.
That's not going to do it.
Come on, man. We can do
Yeah,
better than that.
yeah, not going to do it.
Let, let's get some. Can we get like a Garrett Crochet or a Tarek Screwball or something? Can we get somebody else in here?
Yeah,
Um,
if it wasn't for his rehab, I would want Garrett Cole
yep.
pitching for Team USA.
I'm trying to think. Who on the like? If I can take a Dodger. Well, I told you I want Blake Snell. I
Yeah, I was
want
going to
Blake
say
Snell to
Blake
go.
Snell. I would like Blake Snell there. Man,
Come on, man. We can do better than this
I think
with
Zach
pitchers.
Wheeler's dealing. I think he's dealing with too much off the field stuff to commit. But yeah, man, I like you said, Crochet would be really nice. I'd like to get Max Fried in there, but he denied it.
Yeah.
Um, so no, it'll be interesting, man. It really will be. Yeah, I don't know.
How do you honestly? How do you feel about this roster, Team USA, so far? Gotta be honest with you, I kind of like last year's better so far. So far.
Yeah, I mean, just pulling back up real quick.
Did Bryce Harper say no,
I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
or have they even like? For all we know, they haven't even asked him. But
I haven't heard much. The
you
problem
want
I
a first baseman? Get Bryce Harper in there, man. Come on.
yeah,
Like, I thought Trout, Judge, and Harper were gonna all play
that's
in
what I
this.
thought. Yeah. The one thing that I don't like about this Team USA roster, it's too young. I don't like
Yeah,
how young it is. I mean, you have Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber, and Cal Raleigh in there, but the rest of these guys are young, dude. They're young. Corbin Carroll, Pete Crow Armstrong, Bryce Terang, Bobby Witt Jr., Gunnar Henderson, and Paul Skeens. I don't get me wrong; those are some phenomenal players, but I want some experience in there. And as of right now, we don't have that, man.
I'm telling you, man. Give Muncy a call. Let him play first base, please. Let Max Muncy. I can just see Muncy in a Team USA. I'll get his jersey, ice in a Team
Yeah.
USA jersey. But
It sucks if Freddie Freeman's going to play for Team Canada. I can almost guarantee he's going to play for Canada.
yeah, I there's who knows if he'll even play at all because he's like kind of dealing with like some surgical things right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he even plays for Canada. But yeah, if he does, he's playing for Canada.
Yeah.
So, but
No, man. I don't mind the team, but I need to see the rest of the roster and I need some more experience. And that doesn't mean Paul Goldschmidt at first base again. Please and thank you.
Pete
I don't
Alonso.
know. I was gonna say, man, I could see Pete Alonso. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what these rosters play out as. But from the names that we have already, I don't mind them, but we can do better. I mean, this is a country, dude. This isn't just a Major League Baseball team. I like, come on. We need more experience in the lineup, and we need some more starters, some more aces for Team USA. But no, I know where you're coming from with Team USA and the roster construction so far.
I gotta be honest with you. Right now, I like the last team better than this.
Hmm.
But um, I'm trying to put up some other rosters here, so I'm trying to look at other ones here real quick before we gotta get out of here. I know we're going on an hour, but I'm glad to see that there was a bunch of players starting to commit. So how about Nolan Arenado? He might play for Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw that.
might be playing for Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. And like I said, Yamamoto will play, Otani will play for Japan, but Roki Sasaki won't. Um, I get it. I understand it. I'm sure the Dodgers were like, hey, like we need to develop you still, and maybe in 3 years when you're a little bit when you're better, and more established in the league, then they'll let him go. But Otani, I mean that Japan team's gonna be just fine, believe me.
Yeah.
But right now, who's your final? We had to say. I know there's a lot of teams that still haven't filled out their rosters yet, but who's your final right now? If you had to take a stab at it.
If Team USA does not get better, I have to say DR against Japan.
Yep,
That's what I'm
yep.
thinking. Because I mean, like I said, I don't know all the names for Team Japan. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm keeping track of what Team Japan's doing, but I can guarantee
I
they're
should be doing that.
going to be I can guarantee they're going to be fine. Like they're coming off of the World Baseball Classic Championship last go around. And I don't see their roster changing all that much. You're going to have boppers at every single position. You're going to have a good pitching staff 1 through 5, and you're probably going to have a good bullpen there too. Team USA needs to get more experience and have more aces in the pitching staff. They need to have more experience go to their team before I can put them above DR. As of right now, my rankings, I'd have to put Japan first, coming off of the victory last time, and probably having a damn good roster. DR looks good. So I'm putting them at 2, and then as of right now, I'm putting USA at 3. Now that could change. We still have a few more months until we get there, but yeah, that's where I'm going right now, man. I really am.
All right. Well, of course, as the weeks approach, as we get closer to the WBC, we'll continue to update this and you know give our thoughts of any roster changes or uh, any add-ons because this Team USA team and all these teams are not complete yet. So
Yeah,
um, we'll keep everybody updated. But 80 days away. I said 81. It's 80 days away from the tournament starting. So we're getting
we
there.
go.
We're getting
We
there.
are
Right around the corner.
very
Um,
excited.
unless you got anything else, Kyle, I think that's gonna do it.
Yeah. Will Jazz Chisholm be off of the Yankees come opening day? I just want to ask you that.
I'm gonna
There's
say
been a lot
no.
of rumors. Been a lot of rumors.
I'm gonna
Okay.
say no.
Okay. Nah,
Will
that's
you
all.
say yes? I'm guessing.
I don't know, man. I really don't. I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say he's traded for an outfielder when we lose Cody Bellinger, and we're too cheap to go get Kyle Tucker. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, no. With all these rumors, man, there's a lot of names swirling around, and I've heard Jazz a lot. So we'll see.
Um, real quick, and then we'll get out of here. What's the next big free agent that'll sign by next Monday,
Mm,
if any? You don't have to say any. Like I don't think anybody's gonna sign.
yeah, who's left? I mean,
Bichette, Tucker. Um, damn.
yeah, geez, man. Let's damn, I'm just going through this lineup trying to get some time going. Reese Hoskins is still on the board. He went under the radar. Yeah, man, it's kind of tough. I'm gonna go with Alex Bregman. Give
There
me
you go.
Alex Bregman. Yeah, I'm gonna go with him because I truly do think that Kyle Tucker's market. I don't know if Scott Boras is gonna get cute or not, like he did a
I think
couple
he
years
already
ago.
has getting. I think he already is getting cute.
Yeah, because he tried, with all this poetic things that he's has his mind focused on. Kyle Tucker could drop, so we'll see where it goes. He got cute last time, but I think Kyle Tucker's still a little bit of a ways away. And Cody Bellinger, I don't think is going to sign until the market gets figured out with Kyle Tucker. So I'm going to go with Alex Bregman. That's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to say he goes to Detroit.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like that. Um, I'm not gonna say a trade. I think there's, I mean, a signing. I think there's too much smoke going around with the Padres and the Mets right now. I think they're
Okay.
gonna complete something this week. I
I
don't know
like
what
that.
it is or what it consists of, but um, to me, there's too much smoke. There's too much fire. There hasn't been any major reporters that have come out and denied it. I think that's the big thing that's kind of toying with me too in my decision here. Like I haven't heard of Jeff Passan or any other big reporter kind of shoot this down. Like no, that's not true. Like I haven't heard anything. So
Yeah.
clearly, I think there's something going on that I think we might see a big trade between those two teams this week.
So, real quick, just to kind of cap this off, with the Padres and the Mets, is there any possible way that Xander Bogaerts is a New York Met? The contract dump, depending on what prospects get. Because I've been hearing
I
Bogarts'
think
name.
so. Yeah.
I think there's a chance. So I don't know. I could see like a Mason Miller and Xander Bogaerts type of thing with a lot of money eaten up by the Mets. So I don't know. We'll see. Marcus Semien and Xander Bogaerts, man, talk about getting
No,
older.
where's Lindor going?
Or I I don't see a world where he gets traded, man. I don't.
I don't either.
I can't.
It'd be funny if he did, but
That would break the internet. That'd be interesting. Damn.
all right. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. Our Christmas spectacular show will be next Monday. So,
Absolutely.
um, we'll see you. We'll see you again next week, and we will be dressed for the occasion. By the way,
Oh yeah, for sure.
yes. So, and we'll have our Christmas list too. Christmas shopping. I mean, our Christmas wish list for our
Yes.
clubs. So, because there's still moves that could be made with our teams. So, I know what you're thinking. Geez, what could the Dodgers do? You'd be surprised. But
That'll be interesting to hear from you next week. I'm very interested to see what your Christmas list is.
one word: greed. We'll see you next week. Adios.